How's the real estate market right now in the Inland Empire?
Everybody wants a Pinterest perfect looking home. My goal is to help other agents understand that it's not about just writing the contract.
Being a business owner in this country is amazing. And this country has the most amazing tax laws. Your home is the number one write-off you have.
Can junk removal affect the value of your home when selling? Today, Justin Prasad from SNN Junk Removal and Candice Lewis, Realtor in the Inland Empire, break down how a clutter-free home sells faster and with a higher value.
How can we make a house more valuable?
Well, I think one thing that people, when I come into a home, that's one of the things that I try to take away from them is that overwhelming aspect. So a realtor is there not to just market it or to just put a sign in there. But what is most attractive to a buyer when they first step in a home is when you walk in, it's clean, it's clutter-free, it's open, it's light and bright. It's the attraction of what a buyer sees when you first walk in. Cleanliness and no clutter is what is an attractive feature to any buyer that walks in. If a home is cluttered and there's stuff everywhere and the garage is packed, it's overwhelming for the particular buyer who's coming through a home or a seller to even go through the concept of listing their home, knowing that they have, I hate to say it, a bunch of stuff.
Yes. You mentioned that when you're showing a house, you want to see it tidy and cleanliness. So how do you do that?
A lot of it, it's true. When I first come into the home, part of our relationship and how we developed is coming through. You have a lot of people post-COVID, you would have thought that they cleaned out everything. They didn't. They have mom's furniture. They have the kids' furniture. That's the first thing. I come through and say, okay, can we sell this? Can we donate this? If not, let's get somebody to come out and trash out the items. Backyards are real key. And then sometimes I think a buyer just sees more work because they see the seller's stuff. I don't want them to see their seller's stuff. I'll actually have somebody clean out the garage, move you into the garage and stage the home, and you're just living in your bedroom. So having a good, clean, open, bright home is so important.
Right. And this is when Justin's come to play. So when you refer a seller to Justin, what would be your brief to him? And what would you, Justin, do when you receive a call from a realtor like Candice?
So in my experience with situations like these, it's always interesting because, it can be anything from a probate-based property. It could be just a home being sold. It could be just, a possible investment property. There's a myriad of situations, right? Mm-hmm. But the number one thing is you want to get that property cleaned out within a timely manner because time is money. And also, and you want to do it to where you're not just, because I've seen guys clean out, say, properties, and they'll leave a bunch of crap behind. Like they don't clean up after themselves. They don't do a few extra things here and there. Mm-hmm. Great example, just a few days ago, my family and I, we cleaned out a house in Riverside, and it was an old Victorian home. It's been in the family for over 100 years. So there was, they had original owners for over a century. I believe the lady who was the executor of the property, it was the last person who owned it was her aunt. Now, her aunt passed away about 6 years ago, and there's a probate situation right now, and it's gone. It's just now getting to the stage where they're allowed. And there was a lady, or there was like some individual that was squatting on the property that had known the homeowner to a point, so it's made the situation very sticky. So finally, when the lady who's the executor got clearance for the property to be like, okay, that person's out of there, I was referred by another realtor that I know, and came over, gave an estimate, and she was like, okay, let's do it. And she goes, how soon can you be here? I was like, I'll be here on Monday. So this past Monday, for about 3 days, we worked on it. Took out about 10 trailers, so about 120 cubic yards. So imagine one of those big 40-yard dumpsters. So imagine 3 of those filled up. And we didn't even take everything. The only things we left were the there was a lot of antique furniture. When I mean antique, I mean like made from real wood, like mahogany or walnut or cherry, the beautiful stuff. We left those behind because it could be possibly good to use in an estate sale. But we took out all the junk. I mean, there was stuff that was stored away from the 80s and 90s, just wrapped up and put away. A lot of meticulous care put in a lot of that. And we did go the extra mile because the lady did ask, like, if you come across any important documents, please leave those behind. I'm like, sure.
Such
So
a blessing.
my wife and I more my wife, I think she looked through a lot of documents. She goes, hey, this looks important. I'm like, ooh, yes, they are. So we did keep some things behind. Like there were birth certificates going back a century in some of these. There were like little strong boxes, little mini suitcases, photos going back decades and decades. So we went the extra mile to try to keep those out of the way from being tossed. And in fact, I think at one point I was looking through this one closet and there's a really heavy bag. I was like, what's in this bag? I looked inside and there's boxes of deceased people in there.
Wow.
Family members who have been cremated or whatever. And so I called the lady to let her know, oh, hey, by the way, she goes, thank you for not throwing those away. I'm sure this will mean something to somebody.
Oh my God.
And so just stuff like that. Very interesting, right? But we went out of our way to make sure that we weren't tossing any super valuables or even certain things that might be of value to the woman who's the executor or maybe some family members. So we tried to go out of our way to not just clean up, but also just to be cognizant of what's going on, like, or you know, what not to toss away.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what might be of value to other individuals. And so, well, we got the place cleaned up. I got a lot of before and afters of a lot of things. I mean, they had a garage that they just, to the point where there was an attic space where I think they just stuffed a bunch of stuff and then framed around it so nothing could be taken out. And I was like, okay, I can't even access this. I was like, we can get all the other stuff out there. She goes, yeah, no problem, whatever you can. And like I said, I had 10 trailers in like 3 days. So 120 cubic yards of a lot of stuff.
So you love your job, don't you?
I'm not complaining because even though even people think that, oh, you're just taking junk or trash away. It's not just
Absolutely
that.
not.
It's sometimes, I mean, it's more than that. And sometimes, I mean, in some ways it's kind of exhilarating because you come across random things. Are they treasures sometimes? Maybe. Or if they're not treasures, like what, I mean, you also see like what sometimes people value, like what they see as valuable or what you may or may not see. But because most folks that do junk removal, they'll just take it, they'll toss it away. Or if they see something valuable, they'll keep it for themselves. We try to let the homeowners know, like, hey, look, we found this. Is this valuable to you? Like, it could be money. It could be old coin collector sets or whatever it may be.
It's fascinating to me that you have a great story being in the corporate world and then starting a junk removal business. And we talked about it in previous episodes. And this is very interesting. I'm interested with Candice. Like, have you been a realtor for how long? And tell me, how did you get into real estate?
Well, I've been in the business 27 years. I was actually in the medical field prior to a certified athletic trainer by trade, high pressure, working with athletes, and continuing to just excel in that field. And I was recruited out of the industry by a very prominent real estate agent. Her name was Sue Miller. She had a team, and her focus was in the early 90s to create a real estate team for service and quality. And that's one of the things that I see in Justin and his business, because being in the business so long, what's really important to me is my clients. And honesty and integrity is exactly what Justin has. And that just coincides and pairs with my team. Because it's not just me doing everything. I am the nucleus, don't get me wrong. But the reason I have this success is the trust that comes behind, knowing that I have Justin who's going to come in. Prime example, we have a property on Bryant Street. I'm going through everything right now. I'll be having him come over. We've got a 10-car garage. I'm absolutely positive that there's, items in there that he would be able to see, and to have somebody who looks out for that. That's what makes my job a lot easier. And it doesn't just, it goes, that care and that integrity is what keeps me in the business, which keeps my clients coming. And that's really where I came from. But I service the Inland Empire in Riverside County, but that's where I want to continue to grow and teach new agents that it's not about the social media. It's about the connection with your client, because you just don't know. We go, like you mentioned, probate. That's one of the hardest things to go through. Death, first-time home buyers. And we have historic homes that are just full of generations of fun things, and you can really make a difference and decide what's going on with, when you take that first step. Let's be honest. If I get into a home and there's a lot of stuff there, I have to be honest with the homeowner and say, hey, I need to bring Justin in, and I need to say, okay, like this one, when I approached him about the property in Yucaipa, I'm like, hey, I got a guy who has engines. What do you do with engines? I prepared my seller that he's going to have to come in, and that's going to have to be scrapped. There's going to be there's hazardous material. A lot of trash out guys will just throw it in there and put it in the dump, or go dumping off the side of the road. He'll take the time. He knows how to recycle tires, do that. That's really important to me, not just for what I'm doing, but our overall industry and what he's doing. Again, honesty and integrity, it's priceless, and you can see it in his business.
100%. Like even with me, we did the bathroom recently, and I had a bunch of paint, and I know paint is challenging for junk removals. A lot of them, they say, no, we can't do it. He's like, he got it. Like, I got you. When it's so good we are in the service industry, right?
Correct.
And a mentor of mine said, you never say no, you say yes and. Okay, so yes, and everything in life can be answered with yes and.
Yes.
So probably one of his great qualities is that he always say yes and so I salute you for that. But what's interesting about what you mentioned as a real estate agent, a lot of people think that as a real estate agent, I just sell houses and simple, but the key is also surrounding yourself with the right team and the right referral partners. So how do you spot them? How do you find a good referral partner?
How I found Justin is just sitting down and then honestly having, if you want to say, that member to member connection, because we're all part of some of these groups, but really figuring out who this person is, how he does business, and see if it fits into, I guess, when the terminology is our wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. And I think good customer service is really hard to find, and trust and integrity and loyalty. And if you can get back to the fundamentals, just knowing that we're here to do a job, not for me, not for you, but keeping the homeowner as the main focus, because it's not easy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Finding those things. Sellers are not easy. Buyers are not easy. But buying and selling's up there with the top 10 stress levels.
Oh, yeah.
So if I have that trust with Justin, knowing that, number one, he's not going to go in and steal, because you're right. When you go into some of these homes, there are gems. This particular seller I referenced back, she's losing her memory. She doesn't know what's up there. So it's my job, our job, to come in and make sure that it's, again, the integrity behind it, making sure your team's in place and you've got the right people that allows me to lay my head down at night. But if they trust me, then they're going to trust my team. So it's so important to have that. I hate to say it. It's trust, integrity, loyalty, and great customer service. It's just gone by the wayside. And what about a hi and thank you? Hi and thank you. And hey, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
Communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Justin, you touched on before, like what brings you joy from from your job. But from your experience with a lot of homeowners in the Inland Empire, when you take out a bunch of junk from their spaces, what is the impact that on their mental health, on their quality of life? Can you talk more about, like, we are addicted as a society to more stuff, and then sometimes there's this more stuff put a lot of weight on our shoulders, and when we lose it, it's like we feel different. So talk to me more about that.
So I feel like the message is like the way it comes across is the same for a lot of people, where, you know, people don't realize how many items, for example, they've accumulated over the years. Garages are the best example. They're like, oh, the people tell me, I'll get a message or a text message. Oh, hey, I got a few items in the garage you need to get rid of. Okay, well, send me some photos, or I can come by and check it out. And their idea of a few items is half a garage or a full garage, 2-car, 3-car garage, just full of stuff. And sometimes from the floor to the ceiling, or at least halfway up. So I can kind of gauge how many trailers of what you need to remove. But with that being said, one of the things that when we do take those items out, the look on a lot of these homeowners' faces is like relief in a way. I mean, I'll always ask them, hey, okay, does this stay? Does this go? Most of the time they're like, okay, just get rid of it. That's old. It does help also if people that are emotionally attached to some of these items are not there, because it's because there are sometimes like hoarder homes. People will just buy or just accumulate items and they'll keep it there. They don't want to get rid of it, but they know they have to. And so, I mean, I had a situation about a year ago. It was up in, I think, Running Springs. There was a situation where the home was just bombarded with everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, they said it started during 2020 when everyone was stuck at home, but just by the looks of it, there was decades of just buildup. But at the end of 2 days, I mean, we took out over 10,000 pounds worth of material. And the homeowner was like, she literally told me, she goes, you know, if you weren't married, I would give you the biggest hug and kiss. I was like, really? And she was like, no, we can walk around our home again. She goes, I didn't even know we had tiles here. Like, I didn't even know that this side room was a bathroom. I was like, I'm sorry, what? But a lot of it is relief.
Yes.
A lot of people feel that is relief. And what you said is true. Nobody realizes how stressful, like how much stress it adds to your everyday life when you just have clutter all around. Yeah. I mean, minimalism is an awesome thing. Like, and in this country, I think not just this country, the Western world, it's all about the more items you have. Mm-hmm. You know, and in some people's eyes, the more items means more status. Correct. You know, and you know, those things add up. And I'm not just talking about folks with, say, less money or so. There are folks with a lot of money who will have a lot of items. Like I did a job last summer at a very high-end home. And when I mean high-end home, like we didn't even touch the inside of the home. They had this ginormous garage that they had built, and they had living quarters and everything. And it was like the garage of my dreams. I wish I had. It was like, 20-foot ceilings. I mean, I could have put 10 trucks and trailers in there. It was amazing. But, and they just had this randomly and they were like, yeah, if you want anything, go ahead, take it. I was like, oh, okay. But there was a few items that the kids liked, you know, so we just grabbed a couple of those things. But everything else, I mean, we cleared out, and it's the clutter. It's just the overwhelming amount of stuff. And at first there was a BioClean team that came in and took out because there was, you know, a lot of animal droppings and stuff like that, you know, from just the garage just being neglected for years. But once they cleaned that up, and then my job was to come and get all the inanimate objects that haven't been attacked by the animals or whatever, clean that up, it was night and day. Mm-hmm. And the guy was like, wow, I can use my garage again. He was going to bring in like all these classic cars and start redoing motorcycles or something like that. I don't know. Right. But they were just astounded that they had the space to be able to utilize again.
Yes. Because we get desensitized. Like if there's stuff in the house that's cluttering, with time, you stop seeing it.
do.
Like you become, okay, this is the confined space that I have to live with now. And I stop seeing all the clutter. But when you open this hub, oh my God, I have plenty of space. I believe that as part of home ownership is that we should have some sort of subscription to junk removal. Here's an idea. Mother-in-law was saying that she told her girls, whenever you buy a new piece of clothes, you have to get rid of one item. So you put one item in and you take and you get rid of one item. And if people apply that same principle to their house, like whenever you buy something new, think, okay, I need to take out something. And if that is a principle, then life becomes much easier. True. What do you think, Candice?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you touched on it's a mind focus. I'm one of those people being in the industry. If I have 6 homes and I'm trying to clean them out and keep them organized, that weighs on my head, just like you were saying. But just to come in, they feel such relief. I think it's so important. Anytime you have something that's deferred maintenance, you'll find one of the things like a roofer will come in and then they've got a pile of trash over here. And it's just, it snowballs. You get one thing, the next thing, the next thing. And organization's really important to be part of your space. That's your home. That's your domicile. That's what makes peace. If you come home and it's like, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, then it's just overwhelming. So it's really hard to tell a homeowner to say, hey, it's time to do this. But it's a plan that gets you to the end of what we need to do. And a lot of times what Justin is doing is allowing that person to part from something that was there. And we all have that. I've got another one I've got to give you in Harupa. 4 generations, like, oh, this is mom's furniture. It went into my house. This is grandma's furniture. It went in the house. And it's like, we can't walk around the house. So as a real estate agent, you got to think when you were buying a home and when you were buying a home, you had yourself, the real estate agent, a wife. If you had an older kid or a brother or a mother that you're moving. So that's 3 to 4, maybe 5 people that are walking through your home. It's really important you can walk through the home. It has to be cleanly. It has to be free of junk. And every man goes into that garage and he's like, what's this guy going to leave? You know what I mean? What am I going to have to get rid of? So I actually encourage my sellers, let's do a trash out. I don't have that brilliant mind that he has that can look at it. It's going to be 3 or 4 cubic feet. I love that, or a ton of trash. But it's like, okay, I can look and I'm really cognizant about saying, okay, I know that this is hazardous material. That's going to be one thing. So let's really prepare and get rid of the stuff ahead of time. Because once that escrow starts and we have that 30-day time frame, that stress is down. I want to make sure that stress is not there. And then a lot of times, don't worry about it. A lot of agents now, because our contract has changed. We discussed this just recently. If a homeowner does leave items of value or trash behind, the current buyer who comes in at whatever cost can get rid of those items and send you the bill as the listing agent. So it's really important. His field is growing more and more, and it's going to be that quality of service that you have, because anybody can come in and just throw stuff away. But for me, I have seniors that are moving. I have decades of families, like you said. And just to know that he's going to have that integrity. One of the things that I found in a home was a Bible that was 300 years old. So precious to the family in Riverside, in the Wood Streets. Those homes were built in the 1900s. You just never know what's there. So it's really important. It's actually super fun to go through stuff and to figure out what's going on, because I'm sure you saw the joy in the family where, at some point when I did that, there were tears in their eyes. They thought that Bible had been gone and out of the family, or who's theirs.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of the big thing for me is just knowing that the integrity, that he's going to be recycling, that it's just not going to, we have to be cautious of everything and make sure that it's taken care of.
Yeah. And it's like business owners in this day and age, we always have to go the extra mile because competition is really high. So yeah, you're right. Like anybody can come and put a bunch of stuff, but who's going to take time to talk to the customer, to talk to the client, to, use their mind really. And like, okay, this is an item. What do we do with it, etc. So Justin, any fun, find something like really crazy that stood out, like somebody told you you got to get rid of this, and it was like, weird or wild.
Oh, I've got a lot of stories. I'm trying to think which one.
I know when I read that question, it was like, oh my gosh, which one do I use?
Right? I mean, fun.
This could be its own podcast.
I mean, fun can be like, one job I remember finding was funny. Like it was a chessboard that I found, and it was made out of marble, and all the squares on there, one side's like alabaster, the other side, I want to say, it looked like jade. I was like, ooh, okay. And then I was like, oh, this would be so nice if I found the pieces for this, because the pieces weren't there. Well, ironically, there was like a hole in the wall where someone had stuffed a bunch of boxes. I look in there, I start taking some stuff out, and then one of the boxes has the pieces. And I was like, I think they were alabaster and jade or something like that. As far as I can tell, it's actual jade. And if it is, and the family said, go ahead, take it. We don't need it. I was like, are you sure? I always ask just to be sure, because
yes,
they could be valuable to them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, okay, so I have that at the moment. I don't know what to do with it. I like playing chess. I haven't played in a long time.
Oh, we should play. Do you play?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
We should play
yeah.
like a 3-game.
That would be fun. That would be cool. And then but then you come across like weird things like one home I was cleaning out, there was a lot of books on witchcraft in there. That was interesting. I was like, witchcraft, and my wife was helping out with the job. She goes, I found a bunch of witchcraft books. What's going on here? I was like, I don't know, but
no judgment.
No judgment.
No judge.
Hey, no judgment at all, because
Make sure you leave and pray.
we all have our interests. We all have our nuances.
Course, yeah, and it's our private home, right?
Right,
Yeah,
and I was just like, hey, and I asked the homeowner like, hey, it's a bunch of books here on witchcraft. Like, oh yeah, that belonged to someone. Let's get rid of it. I'm like, okay, just making sure. Didn't know if it was valuable to anybody, but they're like, no, just get rid of it.
Have you ever been tempted to open like a store, like some sort of like a boutique, kind of like what's that store?
It's like a thrift store type thing.
Yeah, like that store that people go to buy used stuff.
Like a Goodwill,
something like that.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I have been tempted. So like I have a friend of mine in Northern California who I grew up with, and he was telling me that if he had the money to do it, he would love to have a thrift store, because there's a lot of random things you come across and you can resell them.
Yeah.
Stuff that homeowners don't want, or even stuff you find on a job sites, somebody will want it.
Yeah, you can put it online on Facebook Marketplace or something.
I think recycling is really important.
Yeah.
I think it's, whether there's value there or not, that's one of the things that once he's done coming in and cleaning up, again, there's furniture. Part of what I do is the estate sell first. And we do want to see that stuff. And it's worth what someone's willing to pay to restore it, have it as a piece. So again, going back to the fundamentals, it's really important. You never know if that chair, if it's in good shape, well, let's try to sell it. Let's not. If donate it. If not, then Justin's coming back at the end of escrow to come, hopefully clean out some of this stuff. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think a lot of agents have encompassed that kind of inner field. We're not just selling trash outs, again, the antiques that are there, and to make sure that we're not just polluting, and just throwing stuff away, that there could be value for somebody else to have. That's what I love about this industry, is just being able to see that value.
Like I know I was just talking to a local junk hauler the other day. He actually called me to say hello, and he has a very successful business over in Redlands. And he was telling me that he donates a lot to, there's like a local church, or I forget what the affiliation is, but they do a lot where they try to get furniture to folks that are less fortunate or they can't afford decent furniture. So he goes, I donate a lot to them. I was like, oh, where are they located? Because it'd be nice to where I could drop off some stuff too if possible. Because there sometimes you come across really nice pieces of furniture, stuff that I maybe wouldn't have in my home, but it would be nice if someone could repurpose it. Because the last thing I want to do is toss a nice piece of furniture in the landfill.
Correct.
You know, because it's like somebody else could use that.
Yeah.
Now, if I had the space, 'cause I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. If I had the space
Like
to
a
store,
warehouse or
like a
something.
warehouse,
Oh my
because I
gosh.
mean, my dream is one day. This is a random dream, but I want to buy a raw piece of land and build a nice size garage on it so I can store my vehicles and whatnot. But also, it can be like a sorting facility. There's another junk removal company I know in Mentone. They do that where they have, I think it's their mom's property. They have about 4 acres worth of land, and they sort out a lot of stuff before they'll bring loads back. Okay, metal goes here, furniture goes here. Now they have the space to do it, which is awesome. So they're able to repurpose a lot of the things. So not all of it goes to the landfill. And they're a very successful business because they do have a lot of integrity. I see them doing that. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to get to that point where, I can repurpose, like I can store this for a certain amount of time so that when the time comes, I can take one entire load, say to the Salvation Army or to a local, Goodwill, whatever it may be.
That's fascinating. I mean, why don't people do it? Like when you dump stuff in the landfill, how do they get, like, they put soil above it? Like, how does it work?
No. So what it is, at least from my observation, what they do, they don't put soil over it. What they do is, so people will constantly dump in a certain area, and then they have these huge bulldozers
Really?
that come through and they push it and they push it and they push it. And then what they do is they ride on top of it. They have these wheels with like spikes on them.
Compress
and
it.
it compresses it down, down, down. And then what they do is they cover it up. Especially in the summertime, a lot of the material will start breaking down. Now, these landfills, the ground is lined, so none of it gets like into like groundwater or anything like that, which is good, which is necessary.
Yeah.
But then what they'll do is too, they'll cover it up. So with the heat, it speeds up the breakdown process. So now there's a science to it. A lot of people don't realize that after a couple of weeks, you got to take that cover off and then cover up another section. You have to constantly rotate this. So what happens? Because there's a big buildup of methane gas. And if you don't take it off within a couple of weeks or a couple of months, that can build up and become very flammable. There's a landfill over by Magic Mountain, Six Flags Magic Mountain, over in Santa Clarita. And they would constantly just burying more and more and more stuff, and they never rotated. And what ended up happening was there were fires underground that were starting because of all the buildup of methane gas. And it was building up so much. They said that, they had to close the landfill down because it was an environmental hazard. And to the point where they said that it would take about 20 years for everything to burn underground. That's how much fire was already going on underground.
Wow.
And if they expose that, it could cause explosions above ground. So there is a huge science that they have where they do this. So because I even asked some of the guys, I'm like, hey, I see all this side of the mountain covered, and then the covers are gone, and there's somewhere else. They're like, yeah, we rotate just so things break down, but then the gases escape at one point, and then we just constantly do that, and then eventually you'll drive by some of those areas and you'll see nothing but like it looks like bark, because all that stuff broke down over time, and then a lot of that becomes fertilizer. A lot of people, or if not fertilizer, it'll become bark for beautification purposes. A lot of the bark you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, like the big Scott's bags or Earth Grow bags, a lot of those come straight from the landfills.
But when you take a bunch of junk to the landfill, this junk contains wood, metal, and then also some organic waste as well, like maybe just regular trash. So do they sort them out or no?
They do. A lot of the foremen I speak to over there, so they have different sections. Now, if I'm able to, like I try to, and not just myself, like the guys that have been doing it for a while, they try to be conscious of that. So what they do is they'll separate items within their trailer or truck, whatever may they have, and then they'll go to each pile. Like there's a pile for wood, there's a pile for metal, and there's a huge scrap metal container. Once that pile gets big, they'll just scoop it up, put it in there, and it'll probably go to SA Recycling or some other recycle place. And then from there, they'll and then there's a section for like roofing, asphalt roofing, and then there's a section for whatever it may be. Or there's a section for tires. And then tires without rims. You cannot bring in tires with rims. For some reason, they say the machines can't break it down, but they're able to break down the other stuff. So there's different rules for different. But vulcanized rubber can be a big hazard if it's because it doesn't break down as easy. There's a different process they have to use.
So now if I have a tire with a rim, you can't take it?
I'm not allowed to take it. Your only option is on that. Take it to a local tire shop that most of them have the machine that can take the rim off, and then they won't charge you that much for it, but you still have to pay them to take your tire and the rim. I don't know if they keep the rim or they give it back to you. A lot of people, if they're smart, they'll take those rims and take them to a recycle center because a lot of those rims are made from aluminum.
Yeah.
And right now, aluminum is a decent price. I remember one time we did a job maybe about a year and a half ago. It was in January of last year, and this gentleman had nothing but aluminum on his property. Lots of aluminum rims, aluminum sheets. I mean, a lot of steel stuff too. But we took it to a recycling place, and the guy gave me a magnet. And he goes, "Okay, if it sticks, it's steel. If it doesn't stick, it's aluminum." So half the pile was steel, the other half was aluminum. It was a nice payday for it. It was a win-win situation every way. But back to what I was saying about the tires and everything, they will not take tires with rims on them, but the tires by themselves, they will take it, and I think somebody comes and picks them up and takes them to a special recycling center. Just like also they have at the landfills, they have a pile for bed mattresses and box springs. And what they do is there's somebody or different groups of people that will come in and they will take them. There's usually recycling centers here in California or across the border in Mexico. They harvest it for the springs inside. And you get paid a certain amount for, I don't know if it's per spring or per mattress, but the mattress gets discarded or incinerated, but they will keep the springs and they can repurpose that for a new mattress or a new box spring or whatever it may be.
Fascinating.
And I think that's important for the homeowners when I'm sitting down with them, because a lot of people think is junk. It is not. It's in the name, but it's hauling the materials where it needs to go. If it's a hazardous material and, car guy, and he has, tons and tons of, well, you know what? We need to be conscious of that, and it needs to be recycled, different facility. A lot of it is educating the laws that are behind what he does.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I'm educated by him and he's by my team coming over, you're going to see that honestly. Candice, there's 34 tires. That's going to be one load. There's rims on them. We have to do this. And then I do like to see, the materials recycled. One of the big things that I always see is when an AC company comes out, they don't necessarily take away the old unit or some of the, and it's sitting there. That's a metal that needs to be recycled a different way. There may be gases in it. Again, I've had engines, car parts. There's hazardous material.
Right.
So it's really important to educate your clients, whether it's sellers or buyers, that, if they're doing a rehab, that if you're having your guys come in, let's create those piles. Let's make sure that we're doing that consciously so we're not continuing to, it really is. We don't want to dirty the earth. I'm a big tree hugger.
100%.
Same
You know
here.
what I mean?
100%.
You have to, and you have to be responsible for that. The thing that breaks my heart is when we go, because we've got some beautiful canyons in our area. You're driving through, or you're bringing a family in, say from Whittier, and they're coming through the 60 freeway, and they go through San Mateo Canyon, and there's a couch on the side or something that's there. There's a lot of companies out there. If they're not licensed and bonded, they'll come over. You'll pay dirt cheap to get them to come in there, but conscious, they're dumping it on the side of the road. They're taking it to a commercial building to where they're just throwing it in a big dumpster, trying to that still goes to the landfill. It still needs to be sorted. So that's really important.
100%.
Really, really
Maybe
important.
you as a realtor, we should find him a warehouse.
I
And
think so.
Why don't we, like, multiple junk removal companies, like, take part, like, pitch in and get like this big sorting facility for the big stuff.
That would be fun.
And then, because there's a YouTuber is so popular. All he does is he go to Goodwill and he find like a tired piece. He take it to his garage and he said, "Oh, I paid $20 for this piece," and now he beautify it. He paint it. He fix it, and then he puts it back up on Facebook Marketplace. And he said, "Oh, I paid $20. I made $200, and that's a big deal. Like, it's." People make money, like make a living out of stuff like that.
Some people do. I've known people.
I think
that
your
have
wife could do this. Considering your studio, I think we could hire her to repurpose. And that is absolutely true, is when, and again, I have him come in first, and then a lot of times it's a estate sale, and you never know the value of a piece of furniture until somebody's willing to do it. But I love to see it repurposed. Some of these antique stores, they come in and they do a chalk paint because nobody likes wood anymore. Honey oak, but that's real wood that can be painted, repurposed.
You give it a new life.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm not gonna lie, my house is full of it. And when you were saying about a quarterly dump, our trash services has bulk dumping. Do we utilize that? We don't.
Most people don't.
Or you don't have somebody that can pull that bulk piece out to there. But honestly, I could hire him on a quarterly basis, because as an agent, if something's left behind, 1-2 things, it's in the
Yes.
back of my truck. I've got some acreage. And again, he's got to come by. I've got old chair, mattress, because they've left it.
Yes.
And I don't want to leave it for that
And we
buyer.
all need accountability partners. Just like when you go to the gym, I mean, if you're on your own, you slack. Some days you do it, some days you don't. So when the trash company tells you, yeah, we can send you a big dumpster once, but because you have to do it, we get lazy. But when, let's say I'm having a subscription with Justin, like, for example, every month or every quarter, he will show up at my house and say, "Hey, what do you want me to take now?" So now he's becoming my accountability partner. Now I have to give him some stuff. So it could be something that we can explore, like, down the line. Like, and I'm basically taking 2 notes. The one is a subscription, because I feel like I need it. Personally, we buy a lot of stuff, and even the cardboard of the stuff that we buy is more than enough for like junk service, and also like a warehouse for a bunch of junk removal companies to kind of like breathe in new life to those things that they collect. So these are like really cool stuff. Do you want to add anything before I go to the real estate market? Because I want to know, like, what is the status of real estate industry in the Inland Empire right now?
No, just to go off what Candy was saying in regards to, like, say if a customer has like certain items, like say if they have 40 tires or something like that, right? So I always have to educate my customer. I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm not allowed to take the tires with the rims, but then at the same time, I'm not allowed to haul any more than 9 tires. California has a very specific law that says that you're only allowed to, if you're hauling any 10 tires or more, you have to have a very specific certification with the state of California, and every time you're hauling it from point A to point B, there's a manifest paper you have to, for every single time, 10 tires or more.
Really?
And everything has to match to the T, like from you to the person you're transferring them to, and having to pay, because you have to pay them to take it. And so say if it's a tire shop, and so you can take these tires there. Now, tire shops are allowed to have exactly 499 tires on the ground, new, used, damaged, whatever.
So specific.
Yes. If you bring in 100 tires and they have, say, 400 tires on the ground, that makes it 500. And they check the manifests. Cal Recycle, I believe they're the ones who are. They check the manifests of all your documents. If there's 1 tire over, not just the tire shop owner, but myself will be fined on a daily basis. Like it could be upwards to $1,000, maybe even per day. Like it's very specific. So I have to let homeowners know, okay, look, this is how much it's going to cost to dispose of each tire, whether it's at the landfill or at a tire shop. But I can only take 9 tires at a time. I know this sounds stupid. I know you're going to look at me like what?
That's so
Well,
ridiculous.
because someone just took 30 tires from me the other day. I'm like, yeah.
And there's 4 tires on a car. Why
Why
where's
not?
You got the spare. You got the spare tire
and
there
it's just
too.
it's
Why
just,
is not even like 10?
I know.
right. And so I have to let people know, look, legally, I was like, look, someone else probably took care of it, because like I remember like companies like U-Haul, they have these units with just junk in it, and they'll throw it all in a 20-foot trailer, and they'll hire people like that are licensed and insured to dispose of it. And I did a job once and I was like, never again, because it was just it wasn't worth my time. But I remember somebody, they're telling me like, oh yeah, we had one that had 200 tires and they found a way to get rid of it. I was like, how do they get rid of it? They're like, well, we don't know, we don't care. I was
They're
like,
not following the laws.
yeah,
That's
because
pretty much
and
it.
the thing is, it's not just following the law. It's an environmental thing too, because if you dispose of
much
it,
so.
and so I mean, if you dispose of it randomly somewhere,
But what's the solution? Like, let's say I have in my garage right now 15 tires. What do we do?
So the easiest way for me to assist you to get rid of that, I can take up to 9 tires at a time. You have to, and the way I do it with customers, it's by cubic volume, how much it fills up in a trailer. But then I also have to charge you like, I think $6 or $7 per tire.
tire. Per
tire.
Because if I'm because either a landfill or a shop will charge you that much just to take those. And so everything's accounted for that way,
So
because
do they recycle tires? Like, do they make
there's places where they take them where they can recycle them,
Or
or there
repurpose
are places what they
Repurpose, yeah.
ironically, there's ground cover that they make out of old.
shred 'em down.
They shred them down and they make ground cover out of it. It's actually really cool.
In the kids' schools. That's why it's so
That's
important.
interesting.
And again, it's information of value,
Sure.
right? When you're sitting down, just with you sitting there, imagine, buying, selling's the number one stress level. It's usually the biggest purchase of your life. And to sit down and go knowing, okay, these are the steps. And the fact that I have that information of value because Justin has told me, nobody wants to go and going, okay, your car's going to be repaired and it's $1,000. Oh, wait, it's $1,500 because there's not a preparation. Being in the industry so long, I know that there's value in the metal, but he's going to scrap it. He's going to do that. It's not a lot of money, but it has to go somewhere else. Tires are a huge thing that are left. Who wants to move tires? I mean, not unless you're going to make, I've seen them painted and flower boxes made out of them.
I have seen those.
And I've seen steps down into like green space where they use them because they don't break down. But you've got to educate them. Like, this is what we need to do. Everything just does not go to the landfill. It is not junk. There's recycled material, just like in the computer industry. They break down the computer components. And we need to know that that's our responsibility to take care of that. We have to. And the more education I can give to my client, it just makes his job a lot easier, saying, okay, this is what tires are the number one thing. Oil, weed killers, stuff like that. Old paint. You would be we want to keep that paint because it's the color of our house. 10 years ago, sweetheart. 10 years ago.
Right.
You can't mix that up. That's not going to be there. And I think it's just, you put it in the back of the garage. Like you said, you open up the garage and it's like, wow. What's in there?
So, Candy, besides junk removal, what are other steps you take to prepare the house to be sold?
It starts with junk removal first. Okay. And then when we get, my main focus is to have a clutter-free, clear, open space because that's photography. Your eye, you're going to see that. And I know we have AI and we can block out trash in the backyard, or we were talking about our recycling bags that have 20 cans that, 20 bags of cans that we're going to recycle but have not. But having that open, cleanly space, I can't change that. That's a first impression. When you walk in, you want to see that. You want to see that a homeowner has taken care of those little things. You don't want to see a bunch of trash in the backyard or too many kids' toys. So donation, getting everything ready. We didn't really talk too much, but one of the things that's really important right now with the California fires is every home that I come across, I need to make sure the trees are trimmed back. We don't have bushes against things because we have fire insurance that we're going to have to get. So on a level of what Justin does is not just the junk and the cleanliness, it's to present the home in its original fashion and to come in, but it's also to clear away dirt, debris, trees, bushes. You want the buyer to come in with the best experience. Come in, be able to paint. And again, our contract pretty much states now in the state of California, it's our responsibility to help the homeowner get this prepared. And again, it's about the stress levels and having that, because our market is still in high demand, but the buyers are picky. They're looking at everything in the home.
Well, do you face challenge when the home seller is still living in the house and you still have to show it? Does that complicate things?
Not so much if they stick to the marketing plan. Pack up. The home needs to be the showcase, not your stuff.
Not your stuff.
Not your stuff. Let the home show. So when they're saying, oh, well, we'll have boxes. Absolutely. Get those boxes in there. Get the trash out. Pick a room. Clean out the garage. Get it staged to where when you're getting ready to move, everything's boxed up. You don't need Christmas decorations in February. Let's go through that. Let's get that packed up. Let's start with the garage, because that's usually where or those attics, or if you're up in the mountains, the basements, because, everything goes down into the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just start decluttering, desensitizing. So a lot of times it'll take me anywhere, depending on what they have, 2 weeks to 30 days to get a home on the market.
And the smell.
Yes.
Like, I'm a big smell guy. I form impression when I enter a space, like about how does it smell. But I feel like back to the memory when we were shopping for a house and some of our showing were in people were living there, and I went in and doesn't smell good. Even if the house has potential, it's just it's kind of blocks me from pursuing it. Candy, how's the real estate market right now in the Inland Empire?
We have a lot of demand still.
Okay.
Absolutely. But we have buyers that are picky. Single-handedly, again, largest investment. Our prices have not come down, but our inventory is still low. So if you can come in, cleanliness, brighten it up, let it show. Again, I hate to use those type of things, but the first impression, it'll sell a house immediately. But we have to everybody wants a Pinterest perfect looking home.
Yes, especially with that kind of investment.
You do. And so having a seller going, okay, we have to do these things ahead of time, and kind of giving small little facelifts. Carpet's one of the things too. It's completely out. And we recycle carpet as well. So you're bringing in materials that are recycled, like your LVP and your laminate flooring. Those are all materials that are there. But again, we have the buyers. Most buyers are husband and wife are working. California real estate's not cheap. And so the quicker we can get decluttered, cleanliness, openness, the faster we're going to get the home sold. It's super important.
But the market, does it get affected by political environment, by economy? Do you see that demand shift? And is the Inland Empire more attractive than other locations like LA County or San Diego or like the neighboring?
Oh, absolutely.
And why?
I think that LA County has, there is a big difference. I won't touch LA County. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different stress that's there. You still see quality of pricing out here. You can still get some land, a little ruralness more so here. And I think you're looking for quality of life, maybe slowing down. The demand again for having that is still here. That being said, the political realm, yes, an agent can sit here and say, okay, this is going on, that's going on. But the reality, I went through the 2006, 7, 8, foreclosure. You still need to buy and sell. People are still coming into California. We still have a large job market, so many military. So yes, we can use the political realm. It affects the interest rate, but families have to move. Seniors are getting older and they need to be with their family. That's not affected by the market or what's going on. What is affected is the personal stress behind having a family member who needs to sell, a senior, a probate. So yes, interest rates. Yeah, it affects interest rates. But again, that doesn't affect a senior. That doesn't affect a family who has dual income and, oh my gosh, we have twins coming and we're in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. So that it is something that you address, but our market goes on and the home markets go there. You have to shift and move with every need that each family needs. It's completely different. He talked about a probate. He talked about a family, like in my case, a senior that's lived there and he had a 10-car garage with 26 cars. So each scenario is different. You just got to know your client, know the needs of that particular client, and help them. That's all it's about.
You genuinely care to make sure that experience is easy for them. And as you said, it's like the most stressful event, like buying or selling the house. Justin, in the cities of the Inland Empire, which one is your favorite?
Which one has the most stuff?
That's a follow-up question.
Yeah.
That would be that's, wow. I mean,
And considering the Inland Empire, San Bernardino County is the largest county in the United
Yeah.
States.
Right. I mean,
you know what I mean?
honestly, if I had to choose, I would say Riverside. The city of Riverside.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of cleanups over there, whether it's small or big. There, and then cities like Fontana as well, for example. There's a lot of homes, whether they're for sale or not, but there's a lot of folks that have been there for generations, and there's a lot of items that have just built up over the years, and they're just trying to clear up their space so that they could breathe again in some ways. I mean, even though they may not think of it that way, once those areas are cleaned up, they're like, hey, we have room. We can do stuff. There was one time I remember. It was so funny. The guy called me. He goes, "Hey, I've seen you around before. I would like for you to at least maybe clear out. Maybe if you could take a half trailer worth this much." I'm like, "Okay." So I told him the price. He was more than okay with it. So I started chatting with him because I always like talking to my customers, right? Because I want to hear their side. I don't want them to feel like they're just a piece of paper that they're going to get a receipt on and that's it. I mean, I want them to tell me their story, So I'm that guy.
Oh, you're very easy to talk to.
Yeah. I try to, but so there was one guy was telling me, he goes, all this, you see all this stuff here. He goes, there was actually more stuff here earlier. I was like, well, what happened to it? He goes, well, I was like, yeah, that's right. There was more stuff here. He goes, well, my kids decided to use my garage as a storage space and they said they'll come get it soon. Well, soon became 10 years down the road. I haven't been able to park my truck in the garage for over a decade. He goes, I would love to be. I was like, so how'd you get them to get their stuff? He goes, well, every time I tell them, come get your stuff, they wouldn't do it. The second I told them, oh, I'm hiring SNN Junk Removal to come pick up my stuff or pick up these items, all of a sudden they're like, you can't do that. That's our stuff. It's like, okay, I've asked you for 10 years.
Yes.
You got until this day. If you're not coming, Justin's taking the stuff away. It's going. Oh, they came and picked up their stuff. And when I got all the other items, he's like, okay, so first of all, I can actually see the water heater again because I need to replace that. He goes, and then I was like, oh, wow. And he goes, and then secondly, he goes, I can pull my truck in the garage. I don't have to leave it outside.
Isn't that interesting? And especially like with house prices so expensive, like people are either renting or buying a house. I mean, it's very expensive to live in California. And now not only you have to pay all of that money, but also you cannot use some part of your house because it's cluttered with stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one thing too, is that like with the rentals, it's 10 out of 10, not a 9, 10. I'll just say 10 out of 10. They're going to leave some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So again, my contract, this is again, having that knowledge. If there's a tenant who left a little boxing something, a chair or something, if there's value and it's over more than $150, I have to keep it for 15 days. So then the responsibility comes on me. That's why I said I have a whole side yard full of stuff for him. But it's a responsibility of us. We need to, if the hose bib is leaking, fix it. If the tree, cut it, take care of it so it doesn't become overwhelming. It's every home that I have to come into. First off, start going through your stuff because you nailed it. We're consume, and let's start cleaning stuff out so we can get Justin in, get SNN in, and make sure. And that was one thing that I had to bring in to my business is estate sales, furniture, because the cost to move, we have a lot of people leaving California, retiring, taking that money to another state. The cost to move furniture is
Astronomical.
Absurd.
Yeah.
At washer, dryers.
Sometimes it's cheaper to just buy new
Correct.
in your different state.
And then that comes back to that. If we had a facility where we know that there's value in that furniture, because 30 days when you get into an escrow, if you're not preparing ahead of time, at some point you're on the back burner, and the only thing you're doing, okay, let's get rid of the junk. Where's the furniture going? What's going on? So game plan's really important.
So Candy, a question for you the same. Which city in the Inland Empire that, your heart kind of leans into more?
Mine's and I don't think it's a city. I think I'm going to say a region. Okay. And it's going to be like the Yucaipa, Cherry Valley, Banning area.
The Pass.
The Redlands. Yeah, that type of area. Because you get an eclectic mix of homes that were built in the 1900s, those older Redlands homes. Or you get where we are currently, the bench where you've got acreage. But you see, the one thing that Justin is, you see generations, and it's kind of neat because you see old stuff, old photos, but you also you're caring about the home. The home doesn't have a voice, not unless I make it have a voice. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do. When you come in, again, you have to have it staged. It needs to look good. The difference in what we do is you're not going to the grocery store and buying boxed water. We're selling a non-tangible item. It's
tangible, but it has
future.
Non-tangible sentimental value because every house has a story, right?
Correct.
Like our house here, the previous owners, they installed that elevator on the stairs, and that tells you, because the person was in his late of age and he needed that assistance, and so you kind of even when this wooden rail, you can feel the time has taken a toll on the wood. It decolored the wood a little bit, so that has you cannot replace that. There's some value in this, that story of generation, one family after another occupying the same walls. I don't know if this is making any sense, but
it makes 100%.
It does, because that's the one thing that we as realtors being in the business so long, again, you can put pictures up, you can do this. But when I do my first open houses, because I like to stage the property, get all the junk removed, make sure all the lights are in the right place, give it, again, its own voice, its own character, is to have an hour prior to my open house, have the neighborhood come through. You really want to know if you have an interested family and has a pool in the backyard. What if the gentleman down the street had lived there since the 70s and his kids would come over and swim and stuff? That's important to a family.
Yeah.
That's what makes a house a home. And they really want to know the community. Justin has 2 kids. Am I going to put him into a place where, there's no kids in the neighborhood, or they can't ride their bikes out front if they're like those people who want to be outside? That's really important. That's the care and the integrity in what we do and what keeps you in the business. It's not, like I said, it's not about, there's the pun, selling sunset, dressing up, doing that. And a lot of times I even tell my clients, you see me in the listing appointment, I'm all dolled up, but a lot of times I'm coming over here cleaning, picking up dog stuff. I've got dead squirrels at a pool. So you never know.
Wow.
I'm watering the lawns when we're there. So we're not just real estate agents.
Ah.
We're your friends. We have a team. And I want my people to come to me for my resources. Because I know Justin's not going to take advantage of one of my sellers. He mentioned that there could be gold bars. You found that, something happened. You talked about a funny story. I had a wife, husband had a bunch of cars, and, when they're older in that generation, sometimes the men kept their money, in some places. We were going through a family's belongings, happened to be in the Wood Streets in Riverside, and there were purses in the attic where it had flowers and stuff like that. I started going through the purses, thousands of dollars.
Oh, wow.
She would take her money and she would store them in her purses. And family never knew. Family never knew. And mom had a beautiful purse collection. And of course, they were older. Nobody wanted it. And if I wouldn't
their
have
little
gone
safe?
through things, if I wouldn't have gone through stuff, who knows what trash out guy they would have just done. And we've all seen those stories, the couch with the money underneath there. But so that's important.
If there's one thing I have to say in regards to, I always like when I come to properties and I start chatting with the homeowners, because every place has a story. And also, I'm also a historian by trade, so I love the history part. I always want to know what's the backstory. I mean, even with my own home, years ago, I bought my home just about 17 years ago. End of this month will be 17 years. And thank you. And I took advantage of that, that failing house market at the time, and at the time I was making great money. So it worked out really well. Well, about a year or two later, one of my friends we were both bartenders together. He comes over to my house one day.
Oh, look at you. You had fun in your early days.
I tried to. Well, financially it paid well at the time. So I figured, what the hey. Okay. And so my friend comes over one day. He's sitting down on the couch. He's looking around. I was like, what's wrong? He goes, no. He goes, I've been here before. I'm like, what do you mean you've been here before? He goes, no, I remember this place now. I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, well, this used to be the party house back in the days. You know that, right? I'm like, no. I was like, who partied here? He goes, well, so-and-so that lives right around the corner. I was like, oh, yeah. He goes, well, his brother used to live in this house. So all his friends would be here. And he goes, this was our get-together house. And he goes, this is so different. But he goes, I didn't recognize it because it looks like a home now.
Yeah.
He goes, it doesn't look like a bunch of 20-year-olds live here and just partying all the time. He goes, this looks like a home. He goes, I'm not used to seeing it this way. And I was like, really? And then it actually prompted me to look up the previous owners, what was going on. Because when I bought my home was a REO. So there was
no history. Yeah.
So it's it's a repo, but not a repo. It's an interesting way because at the time I was looking at homes and most of the homes had, they were trashed. Like people would take the stove, they would rip out the carpets, they would pour cement down the toilets, because they were going to lose their home anyway. So they decided to trash the place and leave.
Oh.
So every home I
Yeah,
was
they
checking.
take it out on their home. Their financial decisions was taken out on their homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so every home I would see, there was a lot of homes I was seeing, whether it was in Highland, Beaumont, Cherry Valley, Calamasa, everywhere I was looking, most homes had that situation. When I walked into my house, the house was empty. It had a very warm feel to it. I didn't know the backstory, but I was like, what's wrong with this place? Why is this under, I was like, I even asked my realtor, why, do you know the story behind this place? She goes, no, but she goes, everything's patched up. There's no damage or anything. She goes, do you want to put an offer? I'm like, yes, I do. I was like, this house, it had that.
Spoke to you.
It did. It had that warm feel because there was no clutter.
Yeah.
And the backyard was empty. I mean, if you look at my backyard now, you would not recognize it because I've transformed it. I like doing landscaping.
Right.
Only my own landscaping, not someone else's.
Yeah.
But when I moved in, there was just palm trees, 2 rose bushes, and there was a patch of grass. That was it. The rest of the yard was just empty. Now you would not recognize it.
Right.
But over the years of just doing things.
So you saw that vision.
Yeah.
You saw exactly
I-
what that cleanliness,
Yes.
that open space.
Huge.
And that's the tangible product is when I'm with somebody, I'll be like, does this backyard resonate with you? Can you see yourself creating your home?
Yeah.
You
There's a
know?
lot of deja vu moments. I don't know if you get that, but I think maybe that moment when you decided 17 years ago, you had no idea that your life is going to take you to become SNN Junk Removal at the time.
not
You were
at
like
all.
just an employee in a company, but then that cleanliness kind of like stuck in you.
It did.
And
big
then when
time.
you decided to
did.
leave the corporate world, like this is what you gravitated towards.
At one point, yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'll ask you some spiritual questions or something, but do you feel that we are in the driver's seat of our lives, or do you think everything is mapped out and we're just like observing this and riding through?
In my humble opinion, we are always in the driver's seat because you know what? I mean, all of our actions, dictate our future, obviously. Now, are things mapped out? I think to a point they could be, but again, you are in the driver's seat. You determine your future. In my opinion, I think you determine your own future because you know what? When I went to college, I remember, my parents wanted me to be the first doctor in the family. And, I was going to UCLA and competing with those kids just at the pre-med level, I couldn't do it. I didn't have the heart for it. I didn't have the soul for it. It just wasn't my thing. I mean, I changed to a history major and then I graduated. I became a teacher for a couple of years. It was, it opened my eyes to how tough it is to be a teacher here in California. It's a very underappreciated profession. And then I moved out here to the Inland Empire because I was living in LA County at the time. I moved, actually LA City, to be honest, West LA. And then I moved out here, complete game changer. Life is a lot slower, way less people at the time. And then I started working at the local casino, and I was making good money all of a sudden. And then I found out the housing market had crashed. I was like, I need to buy a home. I got into my home. I mean, like I said, it felt right.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I could do this.
Created a financial. I think one of the things that people don't realize too is a home is a third person working in your family. If your wife's not working, that's your second person. It's working for you. And that's one of the things that people don't realize.
Explain that too.
That's the American dream.
Okay.
If you're a business owner, your home is 100% tax write-off.
If you're using it for your business, obviously.
No. And if you are not even with your business. So
If you're an investor, you mean?
no. So let's just do the simple math.
Let's do it.
You owe $300,000 on your home, right?
Right.
Your payment's $1,500 a month. we'll say PITI was principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. When you go to your tax accountant and say that 1,500 times that 12, that amount of money comes right off the top of your income.
Really?
Your-
Even if you're a W-2 or you have to
Even
be
if
a
you're-
business owner?
Nope.
Oh yeah.
Even if you are a W-2 employee. So a lot of it, and I'm known as the information of value agent. That's what I'm here to do. Homeownership isn't easy. Running a business isn't easy. But if you understand it and you feel like you have a confidant who can come by, then that's it. So a lot of times it's sitting down and saying, okay, and in Justin's case, if he starts to increase his business, then we do need to look for that piece of land in that building for you. So we can help your tax bracket come down a little bit lower so we can help you grow your business and that American dream that you have. Anybody that I've sold a home to, because that's one of the big questions. Oh, I'm just waiting for the market to fall out
Yes.
and everything like that. That's the biggest thing. The young generation knows.
Is this a mistake to wait?
It is a mistake to wait because our housing market as it is the prices did not come down. What did come down is we're able to help with closing costs. I'm able to encourage homeowners to do repairs because in the bank repo days, like he was talking, or REOs, those words all mean the same thing. You didn't know the condition of the home. You didn't know what was going on. You had an owner that left. So when the real estate agent came in, you had to rely on home inspections. And so everybody that has bought during those time frames, their equity right now is huge.
Big time.
Even in the last 3 to 4 years, people that I've placed, they have equity in their home. The market is not going to fall out. The reason that market fell out is because of our lending industry. We ended up having
Predatory loans.
interest only loans.
And all of these financial instruments that they
Correct.
fabricated out of thin air.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something in the end of this conversation about two parts. Like, have you thought that you're gonna, when you entered real estate, you're gonna stay for 17 years? And what's next for you? Like, what's the next 5 years look like for you?
I did. When you asked him that question, do you believe that
You're in the driver's seat.
you're in the driver's seat? Absolutely. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I had to go through this to get to this, to get to that." I'm a firm believer. No, you just gave you an excuse because you made a wrong decision. And that's the path that I need to go on. I'm a firm believer. I make my own path. Cutting edge, doing what we do. Each agent is different. How we deal with people are different. So that's really important to me, is looking at each person. And I tell my team, because that's where my goal is to help other agents understand that it's not about just writing the contract. You go through our licensing and you get here, doesn't teach you anything. It told me that there's 43,650 in a square footage of an acre. That's about it. You know what I mean? It doesn't tell me how to deal with the grieving family. It doesn't tell me how to prepare a home to sell. So it's really important to know your client, know the demands and the needs that are encompassed. Real estate agents, when I first started in the business, it was really, I don't want to say it was easy, but we sold real estate. We got in our car, we flipped through our Thomas guides because we didn't have navigation. We printed out our flyers and we went to the homes and did everything. You didn't get a chance to see 75 photos, a video, a TikTok video, an Instagram reel. None of that was there. So a lot of what we did as real estate agents 25 years ago has been taken away with us from social media, the exposure of the internet, but it's also, for me, allowed the next 5 years to build a team that understands in a service industry what it takes to get your home on the market. And it's not just putting pictures in the computer or doing everything. It's using Justin, it's using your termite guy, having a reliable home warranty, everything. So it's all encompassing. We deal with solar now. So it's not just about selling your home. And each path is different. That's why I'm here. Each story is different. Each family needs. So kind of have to be a chameleon to what I need to do.
So what's next for you? 5 to 10 years. What do you see yourself? What's upcoming?
Building more and more, helping homeowners, new families, because I feel kids these days don't want to buy in California, or younger generation, because of the cost. But as we were talking about, let's talk about where your future is going. What are you going to do in the next 2 to 5 years? I bought a 1936 Cape Cod home, the old Harris Company furniture company, when I was 19. And we embarked in rehabbing it, knowing every plumbing, every little electrical thing. So what do you want to do? And there's a lot of homes in our industry right now. And I say, they need rehabbed. I hate that term because I want to make it so human, is they need a hug, or they need a big hug, or they need a gigantic hug. Right. So that's how
they need an SNN hug.
Hey. They do. Most of them do. So that's really important. Let's create something. Let's create a program, an information of value type of thing. And again, building my team, having Justin on it, just gives me that peace of mind that I know my clients are very near and dear to me. Very
and usually near. Realtor for life is real. Like when people are comfortable with the realtor, they stick with the realtor. What's upcoming for you, Justin? What's your future look like? Are you going to be also the junk removal for life type deal with your customers?
Absolutely.
Why not? I mean, this is, with all the career choices I've made, I don't regret any of them, but I think it led me to get to this point. I mean, I was never interested in entrepreneurship. It was like, okay, work for some other company. They have your medical covered, even though you're paying for it. But they're taking care of all those things, right? So I don't have to. Now, yes, there are some things I have to take into consideration now. But having that freedom of being an entrepreneur and getting to carve out your own future in a way, it's exciting. It's scary at times, but also very exciting. Because you get to determine what you want to do, not somebody else determine it for you. I mean, I've made people millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I have nothing to show for it from previous work. I gained a lot of knowledge, but I wasn't able to, financially, I don't feel like I was compensated for certain things. Now I feel like I am, because I can, being a business owner in this country is amazing. And this country has the most amazing tax laws. They never tell you about it. You have to learn it on your own.
Yes.
But you know what? This country has some of the most amazing tax laws that, as you were mentioning, your home is the number one write-off you have. But as a business owner, there's a lot of amazing things that you can write off legally. You can, if it's related to your business, you can write it off.
Yeah.
It is an investment in your future. I mean, and the American dream isn't just what you can build for yourself. It's also the whole concept of generational wealth. I want my kids to be able to have something that they can build upon, that, sure, mom and dad built this for you. Can you expand on it? Can you do more? I mean, some of the greatest families in this country started with a dream. Oh, small idea here, small idea there. Well, they built up over time. The next generation did more. The next generation after that did more. And there's ways that legally protect you from, so that, you are able to build more. And that's one thing I love about being a business owner. At this point, I don't not want to be a business owner, I mean, now there are things that I, over time, like, yes, I want to get a big staff. I want them doing this, that, and that, while I go explore more, say, business opportunities for this line of work. And then more down the road. I mean, in another, hopefully 2 years, I want to get a C21 certification, which is for demolition work. So along with doing junk removal, because I know a couple of guys that are junk removers that have that certification, so they can knock down buildings, they can blow up bridges, whatever it may be.
It was the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're talking concrete now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
that's-
forget to invite me. I want to
Yeah.
watch.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
And those things, I mean, and because it pays more, but and you can expand your business that way. I mean, I'm trying to do it, because I see people, in my line of work, as I've mentioned before, you see, even if they have any signage on their trailers, it'll say junk removal, demolition, whatever. And they burn out after a couple of years, or they're not doing it right, or they're getting caught. That's the number one thing.
Getting caught.
Yeah, doing demolition work without a permit here in California is a big no-no, and you gotta have that C21 certification. My goal is once I get that, then I also want to apply, for example, to get a general contractor's license, because there's a lot of work I can also explore in. Don't get me wrong, I still want to do junk removal because it's a very lucrative business. And as Candice also mentioned, keeping that human aspect, like treating people like you would treat your own family, it's important.
Well, then that allows your business to come full circle. And I think that that's important, because the integrity that you have, that will continue, because who knows, the person, the family member, that's what I love so much, is that you get to touch a family. Who knows, you may have a son or something like that wants to take over the business, or someone that just came across that wanted to pick your brain about doing that too. And then you're able to introduce them into your industry the right way.
I've had a few people reach out to me.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we want to get into junk removal, but we see your ads, they're awesome. We see, we've seen the work that you've done. We see the customer compliments. We've looked at your Google profile. You have, almost 150 5-star reviews, or, something like that. Well, we want to get into this. I'm like, okay, are you trying to get into it legally or under the table? They're like, well, why would you ask that? I'm like, well, if you want to grow a business, you need to do it the right way.
You do.
And it's going to take longer. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. And not to mention, there's times you're going to get very discouraged, because there are slow seasons. The first quarter of every year is usually the slow season in junk removal. And it can be mentally trying. But if you do it the right way, everyone I know in my line of work who's done it the right way, I mean, you look at
Successful.
they are successful. You look at companies like IE Junk. You have Junk Buddies 5 around here. You have companies like Triple G Junk Removal. Those guys did it the right way, and they've built their businesses up, and they're doing well. And I'm glad to say I'm actually friends with all of them. They're really nice guys, and they're always willing to give me advice when I need it. And some of them will call me to say hello. Hey, Justin, how you doing? Like how's business or whatever. And those are people I actually look up to, or guys like the Junk Dogs. I look up to them because they did it the right way. They built up, and that's what I'm trying to do. But doing it the right way, it definitely pays off in the long run.
This is fascinating what he just did. Like, he literally shouted out for his competitors, and he's approaching it with like an open hand or abundance mindset.
A networking opportunity, because that in itself, because no particular person can handle everything. So to have him as a resource to say, hey, you never know, they may get too big and later on need to refer something down to him. But knowing your competitor, what they're doing, and we're all human in this business.
Yeah. And there's food for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, there's money
in this
for everyone.
industry, absolutely.
What's your last words, Candy? Anything you want to share to the people out there?
Yeah, I think it's just really important to really feel comfortable about who you decide to sit down and just experience that with. I mean, what I do personally for a living, there's so much joy in it. And that's what I want to see them do. I don't want them to be stressed out. Are they going to leave stuff? When we go to do the walkthrough, what's there? When they take the pictures off the wall, or if the home, let's be honest, if the home's full of stuff and it's removed, what are you going to find behind that stuff that's there? So, yeah, I think it's really important to make that experience in every aspect of what you do with real estate, whether it's from the trash out to the home inspection to actually giving you the keys, that the stress was worth it and that you're getting the best home and the most beautiful home that you wanted. It's super important for me.
Awesome. And any last words?
I have many last words, but I mean, in all honesty, just when it comes to junk removal, I mean, please remember SNN Junk Removal. But I mean, but I love, as I mentioned, I love working with families, especially. I mean, big companies, commercial jobs are cool too, but the families are more fun. I like hearing their stories. I like to hear where they're coming from, what they need, like.
And we love that about you.
Yeah.
We really
You're a
do.
storyteller and story listener too.
I like hearing where people come from because, I mean.
Oh yeah, me and him, like he grind me with questions about my heritage, where I'm coming from, and then I learn about Fiji and all of that. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Again, knowing your client. That's one of the things that I preach
Yeah.
to any mentee that I have, is that if you can step outside yourself, it's not about you. Know what your client's demands are. You're gold.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you both for coming. That was a
Thank you,
pleasurable
Justin.
conversation.
Yes, for inviting me and being able to share. I very much
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you're the host today. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm just facilitating.
You're just facilitating. Yes. Good facilitator.
Excellent.
I hope I did a good job. Thank you both. That was great.
You're
Appreciate
amazing.
you.
Right
You're
on.
amazing. Your space is amazing. Please give your compliments to your wife. You'll have to.
Right. Maybe we clip that as a testimonial.
Right? Oh, speaking of your wife, my wife saw one of her Instagram clips and she was like, tell Naja his wife is a really good speaker. She's really good at talking. I love, like, she goes, I don't understand everything she's talking about, but she's a really good speaker. I was like, I'll let Naja know
Okay, I
that.
need that
Sure.
Instagram page so I can
Yes,
start taking
Diana.
notes.
Diana Malgar, yeah, Diana. She does she oversees training and development in big corporates. She used to work actually in Yamava, and now she works at Spotlight 29.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a huge thing.
She trains people all day.
My big fear is, I think with real estate agents, we're always so self-conscious how we look, what's going on and everything. I told myself this year, because of course with being with the chamber, I'm doing ribbon cutting. I'm over it. But I have a fear of speaking. When I was the ASB president, I got up and you've got your whole body looking at you.
Yeah.
And we were adopting the Candy Striper program within the schools and stuff. Yes, I'm that old. When we still had Candy Stripers. And I just got up there and I froze. I was like,
Yeah.
and so for like 2 weeks, I was known as the
But
girl.
that's the beauty of this.
Yes.
It's like, it is public speaking. There's cameras there. It's going to broadcast us to the world. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels like a conversation between three friends.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love the podcasting platform, because it's like we are locking eyes, we're interacting with each other. At the same time, we become our authentic self. We're sharing what's coming out from our minds. And I love this platform. Like, to be honest, we do a lot of these teleprompter scripting stuff, but this is my favorite. This
I
is like
agree.
this conversation. It's just very warm and authentic to me, and I love it.
I did not do well with the teleprompting. I'm like, wait, go back, wait, go back, wait, go back, slow it down, do this, do that. I was like,
Yeah, that's what Justin has to deal with sometimes with me. Like, hey, slow down.
But you hit it key, because I've said that and that resonates, your authentic self.
Yeah.
And I had a coach tell me that, because I do have a real estate coach, just said, people come to you and they love you for who you are and how you react with them. Your first initial sit down, everything that's there.
Yeah.
That's super important.
100%.
That's what makes you not a business, but it makes you an actual a company that cares.
Yeah.
Because a business will grow if there's care behind it. I think that's the one thing people don't realize.
100%. Well, okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Fun.